Good afternoon. Today is May 23rd, 2012. We are interviewing Eugene Rotterman, who was born September 23rd, 1926, and served in the Army. He was a staff sergeant during the World War II conflict. My name is Tona Francis, and I am a friend of Gene. We are in Pleasant Hill, Ohio for this recording. The interview is being conducted for the Miami County Veterans History Project in the American Folklife Center at the Library of Congress through Republican John Boehner, Speaker of the House. The project is sponsored by Mission Veterans to DC of Piqua, Ohio. I would like to thank you, Gene, for sharing your experiences through this interview. Tell us about your life before the service. Where were you born?
Born in Greene County, a little town called New Germany. It's just north or just east of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base at the top of the hill.
And how many brothers and sisters did you have?
I have one brother and one sister. Both still alive. They both one lives in Dayton. The sister lives in Florida.
And what did your father do to provide for your family?
My father was a truck driver for a transportation and storage company in Dayton, Ohio for 30 years.
And your mom was a stay-at-home mom?
My mother was a stay-at-home mom. She worked one day at Wright Field and couldn't stand the work and quit.
Oh my.
Stayed at home the rest of her life.
Okay. Where did you go to school then?
I graduated from Northridge High School, just north of Dayton, in 1944.
Okay. And were your brother and sister in the service?
My brother was in the service. He was a medic stationed at a camp out in Washington State. I don't know the name of the camp right offhand.
Okay. And what were you doing before you entered the service?
I worked for an Albert's supermarket in Dayton during my junior, senior year, and I was produce manager at Albert's for my senior year. Then after I graduated from high school, I went to work for the Coca-Cola Bottling Company in Dayton and worked for them until I was drafted into the Army in late 44, in December.
Okay. So did you get to choose what part of the service you went into, or did they put you where they wanted you?
They put you where they wanted you.
Okay.
They was taking every other man and putting him in the Navy at that time, and when they got to me, I was at my height, 6 feet. They said you'd make a better infantryman than you would a Navy man, so they put me in the infantry. They skipped over the Navy part for me.
Okay. And did you depart from home by train or by bus?
We departed by bus, went over to Camp Atterbury, Indiana, for where we received our uniforms, and from there we went by train to St. Louis, Missouri, and from St. Louis we hooked onto another train and went to Macon, Georgia, where to our camp at Camp Wheeler, Georgia.
Okay.
And that was on Christmas Day of 1944.
Oh,
I was on a train heading for Camp Wheeler.
Uh-huh. So how long were you at Camp Wheeler then?
I was at Camp Wheeler for just about a year. After basic training was over with, the day that basic training was over with, Germany surrendered, and they kept us over for 6 weeks for jungle warfare training so we could learn to fight the Japanese. When the Japanese, when we graduated from basic training at that time, I was sent to 5th IRTC as a cavalryman. The rest of the group was sent home on furlough. 2 weeks and 3 days after we went home on furlough, they went home on furlough, Japan surrendered. So we did not get into the battle of any kind.
Okay. So where did you go then from Camp Wheeler?
after I was at Camp Wheeler for three or 4 months after basic training as a cattleman, they came out with a 1-year reenlistment program. So I reenlisted in the Army, and at that time I went home on a 14-day furlough, and I reported back to Camp Shelby, Mississippi, to the 51st Signal Operations Battalion.
Okay.
From there we went to Camp Polk, Louisiana, where I finished out the rest of the year as a supply sergeant.
Okay. Did you have any special training?
No, just infantry training is all I had, was special training.
Okay.
I did go to school to be a message center chief,
Okay.
and
Where was that at?
I was only message center chief for about 3 months.
Okay. Where
When
was
they
your
made
school at? The same place you were
Same
camp?
place
Okay.
at Camp Polk, Louisiana. Yes.
Okay. Did you, what did you think of the military life? The physical regiment and the barracks, the food?
I loved it.
Did you?
Yes, I did. I really enjoyed military life. I had an opportunity to stay in the Army. I had passed my OCS test with flying colors. The colonel, battalion commander for our outfit, came to the barracks, to the supply room, and talked to me one day about re-enlisting in the Army. He wanted to make me a master sergeant at that time, and he wanted to send me to OCS school, become a lieutenant, and I had to turn him down because my mother was dead set against the Army.
I see.
So.
How about the barracks? Was it pretty rough in there, or not too bad?
It wasn't too bad.
You weren't on top of each other, or
no?
No?
I had a room all by myself because I was supply sergeant.
Okay.
So I had my own room.
Okay.
And they inspected it just like they did the rest of the barracks, but it was my room, and
Huh.
nobody bothered me.
Okay. How was the food at camp?
Food was very good.
Good.
The food was actually, we had one of the best mess halls in the camp, and all of the officers for the battalion would come and eat at our mess hall.
Oh, wow.
So we had real good cooks.
Nice. Was there any social life while you were there?
What do you call social life?
Life outside the barracks?
We would go to DeRidder, Louisiana, and spend a weekend there at DeRidder. Just go to church on Sunday morning and go to the movies and stuff like that,
Okay.
which was about all we did.
Uh-huh.
We played a lot of golf, and we would spend a weekend playing golf. We'd go to Leesville, Louisiana. We played golf there. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We played golf. We played golf at in Texas. I can't think. Port Arthur, Texas. We played golf there,
Uh-huh.
and that was a country club that we played there at.
I see. And this was just on weekends you do
This
this?
was just on weekends.
I
Yes.
see.
And
Okay. So they didn't have any special things come into camp since
they'd have
the
movies.
wars?
They'd have special
Okay.
movies once in a while in camp, but
Okay.
biggest part of the time we'd find our own entertainment.
Uh-huh. Did you have like a baseball team or a volleyball team?
No,
Anything
no
like
baseball
recreation?
team, no volleyball team, no nothing like that. No.
Okay. Did you have training every so often, or you were just there to do your specific job and that was
You
it?
did your specific job, and every once in a while, I think once while I was in there, I went for special training,
Okay.
and that was at camp,
Uh-huh.
the same camp. But,
Uh-huh.
but that's all the special training we had.
Okay. So you didn't see it, you didn't get to go abroad, so
No.
where were you at Camp Shelby, Mississippi? Why were you there?
Camp 51st Signal Operations Battalion was stationed at Camp Shelby, Mississippi, and when I joined them there at that time,
Uh-huh.
they were getting ready to move then to Camp Polk, Louisiana, because Camp Shelby, Mississippi was a very crude camp, very crude barracks. We had outhouses, and showers. We'd have a shower room that you could go and take your shower, but you had to dress and go in there, take your shower, and dress again to come back out. It was a very crude built camp, so they moved us to Camp Polk, Louisiana, which was a two-story barracks, and everything was inside the barracks, and very, very nice barracks at that time.
Huh. So what did you do then, once you were doing your duty? You were a supply clerk? What did that entail?
I ordered and picked up all of the supplies that the company needed, including uniforms, shoes, paper products for the orderly room. That was mostly my job.
Okay. Did you have to travel far to pick up supplies, or?
I traveled to Leesville, Louisiana, which is about 5 miles from the camp.
Wasn't too far.
No, it wasn't too far. I had a Jeep at my disposal. I had a 1 1/4 ton truck at my disposal, and I had a 2 1/2 ton truck at my disposal. So anytime I needed it, I could take one of those vehicles into town to pick up the supplies we needed.
Now, this didn't include food. You didn't pick up food supplies.
No, I did not. Food was delivered direct to the to the mess hall.
I see.
By other trucks.
Okay. So any kind of equipment did you order by chance, or it was just clothing and shoes?
Mostly clothing and shoes.
Okay.
That's all I ordered. And
okay. So you didn't have to worry about equipment?
No, did not have to take care of equipment of any kind.
Okay.
We had an artificer that took care of the weapons. And we had a radio man that took care of all the electronic equipment.
Okay.
We had a group of men that was on assigned to hanging telephone lines, and they were hanging telephone lines at that time from Camp Polk to Washington, D.C. We set up the first fax machine.
Oh my.
At that time, and it was a very crude piece of equipment.
I can only imagine. So anybody that you went to that you were enlisted with, did they go to the same place as you did, or were you separated from them?
We were separated. We were separated from all the people I went into the basic training with. I was separated from them when I went as a cavalryman.
Okay.
I never got to see any of them again after that.
Do you know if some of them went overseas, or?
No, none of them ever did get overseas.
Okay.
I talked to several of them after I got out of the Army, and they were all, they said they loaded up on a ship and went out. It was out 3 days out of the harbor, and they turned around and brought them back because Japan had surrendered at that time.
Lucky
so
boys.
None of our outfit ever got overseas.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So then you, did you have friendships and camaraderies that you formed?
None.
None.
Never did, no. After we were separated from the group I took basic training with, I kept in touch with one man, and we called him Pop. He was 37 years old when he was drafted into the Army, and he had 4 children at home. I can't even tell you what his name is right now. But he was a very nice gentleman, and he actually looked after all of us like a father would, you know. He was very nice.
But now this was basic training you're talking about.
Basic training.
How about your other camps? Did you meet fellows and keep in touch with them?
Never did, no. We just separated, and that was the end of it.
Did you get mail from home? Did you have mail call?
Yes, we had mail from home all the time. My mother wrote to me. My sister wrote to me.
Did you have a girlfriend back home?
I had a girlfriend. I got a Dear John letter from her.
Oh my.
So that was the end of that. So.
But you did receive mail.
I got letters from my brother in Washington.
Okay.
And I get a letter once in a great while from my uncle that was in the Army at that time.
Now, did they see conflict? Were they over in?
None of them.
Great.
They all went in the same time I did, and none of them got into battle of any kind.
Okay. Just worked at Washington D.C.
Right, he was at Washington State.
Oh, Washington State, Seattle.
At, Letterman General Hospital, is
Okay.
where he served at.
Okay. How about recreation and off-duty pursuits then?
Golf.
Just the golf, like you
Golfing.
stated earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay.
we was gone every weekend playing golf someplace.
Was this before the war was over?
This is after the war was over with.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
after the war was over with.
Okay.
We played golf someplace every weekend.
Uh huh.
And there were four of us that always went golfing together.
Uh huh.
And one guy taught me to play golf.
Okay.
He was a pro, and he taught everybody to play golf.
Uh huh.
But he made the remark that if I ever got good enough to beat him in golf, he was going to quit.
Oh.
And he quit.
Oh my.
But then he started back in again. So
Uh huh. He was a good teacher.
he was a very good teacher, yes.
Yeah.
But I had a pro teach me to golf
Uh huh.
when I was in before I was ever out of high school.
Oh.
I worked at a driving range part-time,
Uh huh.
would pick up golf balls. And this pro would take me and teach me how to hold a club and how to hit golf balls. And so I knew a little bit about it when we started.
I see.
So that did help too.
Yeah. That probably took monotony out of work through the
Yeah,
week.
yes.
Yeah. So when the war was over, you say you stayed there at Camp Polk
Camp Polk.
and worked there until when then? What did you do till?
I was discharged in late 46 or early 47 when I was discharged
Uh-huh.
from the Army at Camp Polk, Louisiana.
Okay.
And then I went back to Dayton, Ohio, where my parents lived.
Okay. Did they know
And-
you were coming home?
Oh, they did when I got there.
Oh,
I
you
didn't tell them I'd
surprised?
had my discharge. I didn't tell them I had my discharge, but they knew it was about time for me to come home.
Okay.
So I stayed there with them, and I got a job at a transportation storage company, same outfit my father worked for.
Okay.
And I worked there for 40 years before I retired.
Did you drive semi?
I drove semi, I
Okay.
drove straight truck, semi, everything that they had I could drive. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have a girlfriend then when you came back from the service?
no, I did not.
Okay. Did you get
Later
married?
on,
Okay.
I had a girlfriend,
Okay.
and that didn't work out either.
Oh, shoot.
So then we started delivering for Sears Roebuck,
Mhm.
and I met my wife, my current wife, at Joyland Restaurant in Pleasant Hill, and she hated me at that time.
Okay.
But anyway, we married, and we've been married for 56 years.
Wonderful. And any children?
We have two daughters, Leanne and Denise, Dee Dee, and Leanne's been married twice. She has two children, Glenn and Denise. And then my youngest daughter has one son, Matt Kane. So we have Glenn, our grandson, has three children. So we have three great-grandchildren.
Wonderful. Did you think it was hard to readjust to life after being in the service?
No, it was very easy to readjust. I can understand it if I'd have been in conflict of some kind. I think it would be
Might
hard
be
to
hard.
readjust for that.
Uh-huh.
But no, this was very easy to adjust to.
Okay. And did you have any memberships in veterans organizations? VFW, American Legion,
Never did, no.
AMVETS?
No,
Okay.
never did.
Some people do.
Yeah.
And do you think that wartime experience has affected your life at all? Do you think it made better by going to camp?
I think it made my life much better.
Uh-huh.
Just the fact that somebody is looking over your shoulder and correcting you, and when you make a mistake, and I think that helps you out.
Helped you to grow up maybe
Yeah, helps you grow
somewhat?
up. Helps you grow up, yes.
Okay. I see you have some pictures here. You say your daughters made you a book?
Yes, they made me a World War II veterans book.
Okay.
They spent weeks on this book.
Okay. We're going to take some pictures here then.
Okay.
This is when you went into the service?
That's when I went into the service.
And your dog tags.
My dog tags.
And this is your draft notice.
This is my draft notice and my where I passed my physical and everything.
And
this
picture.
This is a picture of my mother and
And
me
you,
in the uniform.
Okay.
And then this is a picture of my father and I in the uniform. And this is a letter, a piece in the paper that stated the soldiers that was going into the military at that time.
Okay. And this is your sergeant?
This is my staff sergeant rating.
Okay.
I don't know what the letter's about right offhand, but...
Okay, and then we have pictures of...
This is some of the training pamphlets that they gave us in the military, and pictures of me and my... Who is that with me?
This is you at the desk, and this is you in front of a picket fence.
Okay, that is my home where I grew up at.
Okay.
Picket fence. And that was the desk at my supply room.
Okay. And this is good conduct.
Good conduct, and that was...
Fourth Army.
Fourth Army. And that was
infantry. Okay.
Now these are pictures of Camp Polk and Camp Wheeler, Georgia. I think Camp Wheeler's at the top here. And then this is Camp Wheeler at the bottom here.
Okay.
That's the whole company.
Okay, and you're up here in the corner.
I'm up in the corner up there, yes.
And then Camp Polk.
This is Camp Polk, Louisiana.
Okay. And then tell us about these pictures.
After the war had ended, Japan had surrendered, they had a big parade on camp, at Camp Wheeler, and all of these vehicles was in the parade. And I had a camera at that time, a 35 millimeter camera, and I took a whole bunch of black and white photos of it. And these are some of those photos dating back to 1945.
Tanks and
amphibious? Anything that you can mention, they had in that parade. It was a long parade, huge parade.
You say this was at Camp Polk?
This is at Camp Polk. No, this is at Camp Wheeler, Georgia.
Camp Wheeler.
This is at Camp Wheeler, Georgia, yes.
Okay. And then we've got your discharge.
These are my discharge papers from Camp Wheeler, Georgia. The fifth IRTC. And that one is my discharge paper from Camp Polk, Louisiana.
Okay. And then what else do you have here for us? A book about...
This is a book about the infantry, and it tells all of the things that we had to do when we was in the infantry, the basic training that we went through.
Okay.
It gives you every idea, everything that we did in the infantry.
Is there any stories you have you want to share with us today?
As a cadreman, I have quite a few stories, but the one that I like to tell the most is about the naked soldier. As a cadreman, I used to march the troops from Camp Wheeler out to the rifle range. And every day I'd march the troops out to the rifle range. We'd go through the rifle range, and they'd shoot their weapons and fire their weapons, and then I'd march them back to camp. Well, if you know anything about Georgia, every afternoon about 2 o'clock it rains. And it rains for about 10 minutes to a half hour to most, and then the sun comes out, and the temperature's usually in the hundreds, about 105 degrees, and the steam just rises off of you. So I stopped the troops the day on the way back. I saw some rain coming. I told them to put on their ponchos, sling their rifles upside down under their ponchos, put their helmet liners back on, and we started marching. I noticed one soldier in there his bare legs was sticking out under his poncho. So I figured, well, he rolled his pants up to keep him from getting wet, his fatigues. On the way back, the grain quit. I let them walk for about 5 more minutes. The ponchos dried off. So I stopped the troops, told them to take their ponchos off, fold them, put them over their belt. This one soldier that was naked, his legs were naked, didn't take his poncho off. So I told the soldier, I said, "Soldier, take your poncho off and put it over your belt." And he says, "Sir, I'm naked underneath this uniform, underneath this poncho, and it's real cool." And I said, "It might be cool, but if you get caught going into camp with that out of uniform, you're going to get court-martialed. And so am I. And I'm not going to get court-martialed." So I said, "Put your uniform on." And he stood there and he looked around at all the rest of the troops standing there. And they was all staring at him, looking at him. So I hollered, "Attention." They all snapped to attention. I says, "Form a circle." They all formed a circle facing in. I says, "About face," and they all groaned. They wanted to see that boy change clothes. And I stepped outside the circle and I says, "Close up ranks." They closed up ranks. He put his uniform back on. We walked in into camp. The next day, the company commander called me into the office and he says, "Soldier, what's this I hear about you out here at edge of camp?" And I says, "What did you hear, sir?" He says, "Why did you have those soldiers up in a ring like that?" And I said, "One of those soldiers was naked, sir. I had him put his uniform back on." He said, "What did you tell that soldier?" I said, "I told that soldier that if he walked into camp, he's going to get court-martialed, and so was I." And the captain looked at me and he says, "You're absolutely right. You would have been court-martialed." That was the best thing that you could have done.
Huh.
That's my favorite story.
Okay.
But there's a lot of stories that I've had. We sent money down to New Orleans one time with a cook. He was going down there for supplies, and I had him bring back gallons of oysters.
Oh.
And we had fried oysters for dinner that night. And that same evening we had a party at the NCO club, and everybody tried to put me under the table. They had tried to get me to drink under the table, get me drunk.
Uh-huh.
They couldn't do it. I'd had too many oysters.
Oh! They don't mix, huh?
No, well, they keep the alcohol down.
I see.
And you don't get drunk when you.
I see.
The grease off of them holds the alcohol or the fumes down, and you don't get drunk off of them then.
Oh my.
But those are some of my favorite stories.
Uh-huh. Anything else?
How much more time we got? As a cattleman, I was also trained the rookies to throw hand grenades. And all week we threw live hand grenades, or we threw dummy hand grenades all week.
Oh, okay.
And then on Friday, we took them out to the hand grenade range, and they had pits in the top of this hill, and they had a parapet around them, about a foot high.
A what around
and a
it?
Parapet, a hill.
Okay.
Bump,
An incline, maybe?
an incline.
Okay,
height.
okay.
And we lay down in this pit, and they would throw their hand grenade out over this parapet down at a log house down there.
Uh-huh.
I was in pit number 3 at this time, and range tower said pit number 3, prepare to throw a hand grenade. So I told the boy, I said, take the hand grenade, pull the pin out of it, and hold it in your hand. They let him hold that hand grenade for 2 seconds or 3 seconds to show him that it's not going to do anything, as long as you keep the handle down. And I said, then they finally says, pit number 3, throw the hand grenade. This boy got up on his knees and reared back to throw the hand grenade. The hand grenade fell out of his hand between us. Then he laid down on top of it. I jumped up right away. I saw it fall out of his hand. I jumped up, threw him off the hand grenade and grabbed it and lobbed it over the side. And I says, it blew up before it touched the ground on the other side. I said, I know I saved his life and mine too.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say who else's life I saved.
Exactly.
But the range tower put up the red flag right away.
Uh-huh.
And a lieutenant in there jumped out of the range tower, come down and jerked me up out of the pit, started chewing me up one side and down the other. And he says, "Soldier, you're going to lay there and throw hand grenades, so it takes you all day to throw them right." And he hesitated, and I says, "Sir, may I say something?" He said, "You shut up until I'm done talking to you." And he said the same thing over again. "You're going to lay there and throw hand grenades if it takes all day to throw them right." And then he hesitated again. I said, "Sir, now may I say something?" "I told you to shut up, or I'm going to have you court-martialed." And just then my company commander walked over and put his hand on the lieutenant's shoulder, and the lieutenant looked at him and backed up. And the company commander says, "Cadryman Rotterman, can you tell me what happened there?" I wish you could have seen the look on that lieutenant's face when he found out I was a cadryman. I explained what happened to the company commander, and he turned around and he looked at the captain. He says, "Captain, I suppose maybe you better get it down in that pit and teach that boy to throw hand grenades if it takes you all day to teach him to throw them right."
My.
And the captain had, lieutenant had his uniform on, his dress uniform on, his tie on, khakis, in the mud at Camp Wheeler, Georgia, which is nothing but red clay. He got down in there and taught that boy to throw hand grenades.
It just scared him? Is that why he dropped it, or you don't know?
I don't know what happened. I never found out who the boy's name was. Company commander took me back to the camp, gave me a 3-day pass, and he says, "Forget what you happened today." And he says, "Take 3 days off."
Nice.
Yes, so I just stayed in the camp and
didn't have to worry about any training.
Didn't have to go worry about any training of any kind for 3 whole days. So.
Yeah, how many are in a hole at a time?
There's just 2 of us.
Just 2?
Just 2 of us.
Okay.
The cadryman and the rookie that's throwing the hand grenade is in there. So each pit had like 2 people in it.
And how many pits do you think are around there?
8. There were 8 pits around this area.
So there's 16 people.
16 people in there. But the parapet around you would keep the blast from going into the other pits.
Okay.
The only place it would hit would be your pit and out behind you. If there's anybody standing behind you, it would kill them too.
Okay.
It could have killed somebody in the range tower, but more than likely it would have bypassed that range tower.
Wow.
But that was the closest call I've ever had while I was in the Army. And
that was just training.
It was just training, yes.
Wow. So all week you practiced, you say, with dummy ones, and then once a week you practice with live.
Once a week they'd let them throw the live hand grenade, the real thing, yeah.
And you threw it at you say like a log cabin?
A log cabin down there. They had a log cabin that had no windows in it, no roof on it, and it was so far away that I don't think anybody could have hit the log cabin with a hand grenade to start with.
But at least that was your target.
That was our target, yes. Is get it as close as you could to the target. You know.
Because I wondered if they had to rebuild that every week if you hit it.
No,
but no one ever hit it.
Heavy. The logs are so heavy on that they would take the impact and
wouldn't hurt it.
Wouldn't hurt it.
I'll be darned. Any other stories you can think of?
I think that's about it right now.
Okay.
That's all I can think of.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank you for your service.
Okay.
And I appreciate very much that you sharing your experiences through this interview today.
Thank you very much.